Hey everyone, welcome back to Programming Pulse. If you're new here, I'm Jack, and today we're diving into a topic that's crucial for anyone starting out in programming: 10 common mistakes new programmers make and how to avoid them. Everyone makes mistakes when they're starting out. The key is to learn from them and keep moving forward. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to brush up on your skills, understanding these common pitfalls and learning how to avoid them can make a huge difference in your programming journey. So, let's get right into it. Alright, let's kick things off with our first mistake: not understanding the basics. A lot of new programmers jump straight into coding without taking the time to grasp fundamental concepts like variables, loops, and conditionals. It's tempting to dive into more complex projects or frameworks because they seem exciting, but this approach can lead to confusion and frustration later on. Without a solid understanding of the basics, you'll struggle to build more complex systems. Imagine trying to assemble a piece of furniture without knowing how to use a screwdriver. It's going to be a mess. The same goes for programming. If you don't understand the core concepts, everything else will feel overwhelming. So, how do you avoid this? Focus on mastering the basics first. Make sure you understand how variables store data, how loops iterate over that data, and how conditionals make decisions. Spend time on exercises that reinforce these concepts. There are tons of resources out there to help you. Websites like Codecademy, Khan Academy, or Free Code Camp offer great introductory courses. Don't be afraid to start with the basics, no matter how simple they seem. A strong foundation will make learning advanced topics much easier. Moving on to mistake number 2, skipping documentation. Documentation is often seen as a chore, especially for beginners who are eager to write code. But trust me, documentation is crucial for understanding how libraries and frameworks work, and it can save you a lot of time and headaches down the road. If you skip reading the documentation, you might use functions or methods incorrectly, which can lead to bugs and inefficiencies in your code. Documentation often contains important information about parameters, return values, and potential errors, which are essential for writing effective code. Think of it like a map. You wouldn't set off on a journey without a map, would you? Documentation is your map to understanding how things work. Make it a habit to read the documentation of the tools and libraries you're using. When you come across a new function or class, take a moment to check its documentation to understand how it works. Over time, you'll become more efficient at reading and using documentation, which will improve your coding skills. And that's what we want, right? Mistake number 3, not testing code. Testing might seem like an additional step that slows down your progress, but it's actually an integral part of writing reliable software. Many new programmers skip testing because they think their code is correct, or they're simply too eager to move on to the next feature. If you don't test your code, you risk introducing bugs that can be hard to track down later. Bugs in code can lead to crashes, incorrect results, or even security vulnerabilities. Testing helps you catch these issues early on and ensures that your code performs as expected. It's like having a safety net. So, how do you avoid this mistake? Incorporate testing into your development process from the start. Don't wait until you've written a ton of code to start testing. Write unit tests for individual functions and integration tests for how different parts of your application work together. Tools like Jest for JavaScript, PyTest for Python, and Junit for Java are great for automating tests and catching errors before they become bigger issues. Testing might seem like extra work up front, but trust me, it will save you a lot of time and headaches in the long run, and nobody wants to be responsible for that, right? Next up, we have mistake number 4, ignoring error messages. Error messages can be intimidating, especially when you're first starting out. But they're actually your friends. Error messages are like clues that guide you towards solving problems in your code. New programmers often dismiss these messages or don't know how to interpret them, leading to prolonged debugging sessions and frustration. Ignoring error messages means you're missing out on valuable information that can help you diagnose and fix issues. Error messages typically provide insights into what went wrong and where, making them an essential part of troubleshooting. So, how do you avoid this mistake? Simple. Take error messages seriously. Read them carefully and try to understand what they're telling you. Use online resources or communities to look up error codes or messages that you don't understand. Debugging is a skill that improves with practice, so the more you engage with error messages, the better you'll become at resolving them. Moving on to mistake number 5. Overcomplicating solutions. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that more complex code is better code, but that's not always the case. New programmers often fall into the trap of over-engineering their solutions. They try to create overly complex code or use advanced features when a simpler approach would suffice. Overcomplicating your code can lead to confusion, maintenance difficulties, and increased potential for bugs. Simple, straightforward solutions are easier to understand and debug, and they often perform better. So how do you avoid this mistake? Aim for simplicity in your code. Follow the principle of keep it simple, stupid, KISS. Start with a basic solution and only add complexity if necessary. As you gain more experience, you'll learn to balance simplicity with efficiency and functionality. Mistake number 6, not using version control. Version control systems like Git are crucial for managing changes in your code and collaborating with others. New programmers sometimes overlook this tool or find it intimidating, but it's essential for any serious development work. Without version control, you risk losing your work or making it difficult to track changes over time. If you're collaborating with others, version control helps manage different contributions and avoid conflicts. It's like having a time machine for your code. So how do you avoid this mistake? Learn the basics of version control and make it a habit to use it for all your projects. Create regular commits to save your progress and use branches to manage different features or versions of your code. Learning Git will be one of the best things you can do for your programming career. Check out the links in the description below. Mistake number 7, neglecting code readability. It's easy to get so focused on making code work that you forget about making it readable. But code readability is important for collaboration and future maintenance. You're not just writing code for yourself, you're writing it for others to understand as well. Unreadable code can be difficult for others and even yourself to understand and maintain. This can lead to errors, inefficiencies, and longer development times. Clear, readable code is more maintainable and easier to debug. So how do you write readable code? Follow best practices for writing clean code, use meaningful variable names, write comments where necessary, and follow consistent coding conventions. Tools like linters can help enforce coding standards and improve readability. Your future self will thank you for writing clean, readable code. Mistake number 8, not seeking help. New programmers often feel like they should figure everything out on their own. While self-reliance is important, not seeking help when needed can slow your progress and lead to unnecessary frustration. There's no shame in asking for help, especially in the programming world. Trying to solve every problem on your own can be inefficient and stressful. There's a wealth of knowledge and experience in the programming community that can help you overcome obstacles and learn more effectively. The programming community is vast and welcoming. So, how do you avoid this mistake? Don't hesitate to ask for help when you're stuck. Join programming forums, participate in online communities, or seek advice from more experienced developers. Use resources like Stack Overflow, Reddit's Learn Programming, or coding Discord servers to get assistance and learn from others. You'll be surprised how helpful and supportive the programming community can be. Mistake number 9, neglecting best practices. Best practices are guidelines that help you write better code. New programmers sometimes overlook these practices in favor of quick fixes or shortcuts. But trust me, following best practices will make you a better programmer in the long run. Neglecting best practices can lead to problems like security vulnerabilities, inefficient code, and difficult-to-maintain software. Best practices are there to help you write high-quality, reliable code. So how do you avoid this mistake? Familiarize yourself with best practices for your programming language and development environment. Follow coding standards, adhere to security guidelines, and use design patterns appropriately. As you gain experience, these practices will become second nature. Mistake number 10, not continuing to learn. Programming is a field that's constantly evolving. New tools, languages, and techniques are always emerging, and it's important to stay updated. The learning never stops in programming. If you stop learning, you risk falling behind and missing out on new opportunities. Continuing to learn helps you stay relevant and improve your skills. So, how do you avoid this mistake? Make learning a continuous part of your programming journey. Follow industry blogs, take online courses, attend meetups, and work on new projects. Challenge yourself to learn new technologies and improve your skills regularly. The more you learn, the better programmer you'll become. And there you have it. 10 common mistakes new programmers make and how to avoid them. Everyone makes mistakes when they're starting out. The key is to learn from them and keep moving forward. Avoiding these pitfalls can help you become a more effective and confident programmer. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you have any questions or other mistakes you think should be on this list, leave them in the comments below.